Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. I'm your host, Jacob Russ, and I'm joined by my co-host, Joshua Taylor, and we're back and we're playing with Power. Josh, it's been so long, I honestly forget the number of the episodes. I can't even remember which one this one actually is, but hey, we're here and we're playing with Power. How are you, my friend?
We're doing just fine here. It has been a crazy busy day with work and everything, but I am ready to talk about probably my top favorite character in gaming since forever.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I don't see us wasting any time, so let's go ahead and get into what we have been radical rexing about. All right, Josh. It does make me kind of sad at times that we're not on weekly like we used to be. I sometimes think about that, and I wish we could do that. I wish we could do it like the way we used to do it when we first started off. But it's okay. It's okay. But with that said, a lot of things come that I don't get to share that I'm radical rexing about because maybe we're not doing an episode that week or the week after that. Then it kind of like the radical rexing hype dies down a little bit. What am I radical rexing about? I'm not radical rexing about Moon Knight very much. Spoilers to you guys, but not terrible spoilers, but it's not the show in general. It keeps losing. I just think it's kind of boring. I think it's boring, and I think it's confusing. I'm able to follow the main story overall, but I think it's just like, okay, where are we now? What the heck? And that's the kind of just the impression I'm getting. And then in our group chat, Kyle's saying that he's not supposed to be connected to the main MCU stuff. How does that make sense? Like, that's not true. They're going to put them in movies. There's no way they're going to introduce these characters and just not put them in movies. I guess I thought I was talking about what I was radical rexing, and I'm dissing on this show. Do I enjoy the show? Yeah, I don't think it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time if they don't include him in anything else Marvel, crossovers and stuff. But I love the way he looks. I think he looks awesome. But we've had 2 or 3 episodes now without him, and it's just kind of lame. So I don't know. I think next week's supposed to be the last episode, so we'll see how it finishes. And I'm excited for Doctor Strange. I have been following, just like how Spider-Man was when that came out, I have been following Doctor Strange just as much. I followed Spider-Man, a year and a half, 2 years before it even came out. All the rumors, all of the hype building up to it. I know some people avoid that stuff, but I don't. I follow all these channels and get a bunch of leaked information and ideas of what's to come. So I've been doing that with Doctor Strange too. Not as much as I did with Spider-Man, but definitely a lot. And I'm just hyped. I'm hyped for it. I won't be seeing it opening night. That's just, I never do. That's not really my thing. But I will see it shortly after it comes out. And I'm excited. Outside of that, not too much is going on. Just working at school. Same old story. We'll get there one day when I'm finally done with school. How about you? What are you radical rexing about?
All right. I guess before we get completely off of Moon Knight, I kind of feel the same way, but we're only about 3 episodes in, I think. We're behind 2, I believe, something like that. But
that's how you know you don't like it, because all the other ones, you are right on top of it.
Right. Yeah. It's been a little busy anyway. My daughter's got a crazy busy day with work and everything, but I am ready to talk about probably my top favorite character in gaming since forever. To run back to it, I guess. We're going to. We always watch everything with the MCU. It's I guess in a lot of ways it would just be repeating what you said, but it is what it is, and we'll see where it goes. Excited for Doctor Strange, for sure. I think I'm not going quite as crazy with like watching all the YouTube channels and stuff as I was like with Spider-Man. I think I kind of got my hype all dumped into that, and now I'm kind of like, okay, I'm ready to chill for a little bit. So I was kind of glad there was no movies for at least a few months. Well, Morbius, I guess, but anyway. No, I'm still sort of riding the Kirby train from the end of last month from Forgotten Land. I've already talked about it enough, but of course, my daughter and I played through a lot of it. I've played some of it on my own. We 100%ed it. I've been poking around at some other Kirby games. The past few days, I've oddly decided to pick up Kirby, Super Kirby Clash, which is like totally unlike me because it's a free-to-play game. But it is on the Switch, and it's been fun. I've played it with my wife and daughter a little bit as well, just some online, and I've actually enjoyed it. It's just been a fun little thing to jump into on and off.
It's kind of funny, like with Kirby, just like how good the new game is. Like typically Kirby's one of those characters where I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I've liked him in the past, but yeah, I'm not like a huge Kirby fan, but like, recently with the game, it's just like, seems like we just can't get enough Kirby, whereas typically he's like option C or D on my list of what I want to play.
Yeah, he's there, but he's not like, he's not Mario Odyssey or whatever.
Right, but the new game has really changed that. I really love the formula for the new game, and I would love them to take a step further and start giving us sandbox worlds. Mm-hmm. I think that would be sold if you do that.
Yeah, they played it a little safe with some stuff in this, with the copy abilities and the amount, somewhat. So I definitely see where they could expand on that. And open up, they kind of make things more epic and whatnot. But, yeah, other than that, really, I've just kind of got the normal work stuff going on. Like I said, coaching soccer. I feel like I'm forgetting a game that's coming out. There's actually the sports game coming out. I'm not getting it now. It just kind of seems like Wii Sports again. I might be wrong. But other than that, I guess that's about it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so this week, Josh and I are bringing to the table a character spotlight episode. We haven't done one of these in quite a long time. And, Josh and I tell you what, he's a bigger Yoshi fan than I am. So we're going to talk about Yoshi. Here we go. Josh, when did Yoshi come into existence? When was this dinosaur hatched out of its egg for all of us to see?
That would be with Super Mario World in 1990 in Japan. Here in North America, it was 91, which is also the first video game I remember playing.
Yeah, in Super Mario World, we were talking before the show about what his first game was, and I was a little confused. I was thinking it was like Yoshi's Cookie or something because that's on the NES, but no, they introduced Yoshi to the Super Nintendo world and then went back and made some older games for the older systems, which is just kind of unheard of. That'd be like Nintendo, I don't know, making some more games for like the Wii now and the GameCube and or the 3DS, and that was a brand new character on the Switch, Like a Splatoon. If they made Splatoon and then they went back to the Wii and made some Wii Splatoon and 3DS Splatoon. Just weird. You don't see that very often today. Josh, I know that Yoshi is your all-time fave. I love Yoshi. I would not say I'm a fanatic fan, but I will say he has a special spot in my memory of my nostalgia and my childhood, especially with Mario World and Mario World 2. Why is Yoshi so important to you?
To me, that is actually a question I don't know if I have a clear answer for. I guess you could say part of it is, nostalgia, obviously. I started a Super Mario World. I loved Yoshi's Island. You know, I mean, there's a lot of Yoshi games. Honestly, they're not always like my top games on every system by any means. I've just sort of, it's always been one of those characters, like if he's in Mario Kart or Smash Brothers, like every Smash Brothers, I usually go for Yoshi. That's just sort of my thing. I started picking up like in the 90s when, you know, well, it's Super Mario Kart probably, Mario Kart 64, and then the parties and all of that. You know, if I was playing with family or friends or whatever, usually I was Yoshi. And again, I don't know if there's a huge reason behind that. I guess to look at it a little deeper, like Mario and Luigi and stuff, that's kind of like the easy choice. But then like Yoshi's like, he's not like second banana to Mario, or he's not like the main character. He's a little green dinosaur. And I guess I've always kind of thought dinosaurs and lizards and stuff are cool.
Yeah. You know, for me, everyone knows I didn't have a Super Nintendo, so I only experienced him really through Traven. And he had Super Nintendo, and to me, it was just such a fascinating world because I had the original NES, and I was used to just, you know, biting my teeth on Mario Bros. 3. Tons of Mario Bros. 3 and the Game Boy games of Mario Land. So Yoshi, when you see him, you just saw this whole new element added to the game that was just mind-blowing, honestly, at the time, that you could ride this creature, and he popped out eggs, and you could throw them. You know, it was really cool, and the fact that they incorporated different colors just made me intrigued. And I think it's, as kids, variety of colors is engaging. We love colors. You know, I love to see like a blue Yoshi, a light blue Yoshi, yellow Yoshi, obviously the green, the red. It was special when I'd see, oh, that's a different one. And I loved that. Yoshi, to me, I never, I used to, he was my main in Mario Kart 64. Back then, it was either your Toad, Peach, or Yoshi. Those are the three fastest. And dude, I always used Yoshi. He was my go-to. And he was one of the ones I hated most in Mario Party back in the day. The computer PC, I don't know what it was. Him and Luigi both, they were programmed to cheat. I mean, they suck. And then they'd sit there and they'd dance when they like steal all your stars and stuff. I had some rage fits. Have some rage fits back in the day when Yoshi would go to good old Boo and he'd steal my stars or a bunch of my money. I would be so mad. But I remember it. And then I will say, with Yoshi, I was very disappointed when we got to the 3D world and he was not in Mario 64. It kind of bummed me out. I mean, well, he was. Spoilers, he was, but it wasn't what we wanted. You know, I honestly, it's kind of stupid. He's on for those you don't know, if you collect all the stars in the game, you get to open up the cannon outside of Peach's castle, and you can shoot up on top of it. And up there is Yoshi, and he gives you 100 lives, and then he just runs away. He flies off into the distance. It's like, what was the point of that? So that was kind of a letdown. I feel like Yoshi didn't really expand much beyond what he did in the Super Nintendo. Obviously, he got his own game, which was cool, and it was clever, and it was different, and the art style was different. But, that's just kind of my experience with Yoshi. And then, yeah, I don't feel like they really fully utilized him for a good while there. Not until the Wii days, I'd say. He really was kind of irrelevant during the GameCube, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, during the GameCube, he kind of had a lull. It was mostly like the side stuff. You know, he had Yoshi's Story on the 64 after the Super Nintendo outings.
You're right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that one.
But
which is dumb because that's one of my nostalgic childhood games.
Yeah,
it wasn't a very good game.
It's I know I really liked it growing up, and of course I was already a Yoshi fan. I love the little online like gigapet like Yoshi thing you could do on the Yoshi Story website. Maybe somebody out there remembers that other than me. But going back to it, it is a little awkward, especially having to use the stick to walk instead of like the control pad.
Mm-hmm.
in a 2D platformer always
Oh,
drives
yeah.
me kind of. It just does not feel right. But yeah, pretty much like you said, during the GameCube, there wasn't anything real Yoshi focused, so to speak. I don't even think he. I think he was just side games actually, because he. Well, no, I'm
He was
sorry.
in Sunshine.
He was in Sunshine.
But it wasn't
Sort
like
of.
he was the main focal point. Yeah.
No, he died if you didn't feed him within like 45 seconds.
Yeah, he kind of got shelved to Mario Party games and Mario Kart, your standard. And I mean, he was in Smash, which was cool. He's in the original Smash Bros. Lineup, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's been there since the beginning.
Yeah, he was in the original commercial. So, and so he's been around. He's just not been like, hey, I can be a star too. It wasn't really till what did you say? Did he have much on the? I mean, I'd say in the Wii era, he never had his own game on the Wii, right?
No, he was in Mario Galaxy 2.
Yes.
But again, he's always there for consistently for the side games, for the karts and the parties and the sports titles.
And your standard Mario platformers.
Yeah, he was in New Super Mario Brothers, Wii and Wii U.
Yep. But I want to highlight Galaxy 2 real quick because that was the fruition the fruition of what I wanted in Mario 64. You actually got to ride him, you got to use him. It was really cool to use him in a 3D environment. And that's what I think that's what makes Mario Galaxy 2 better than Mario Galaxy 1. In my opinion, they're pretty much the same game outside of that. And the element of Yoshi just adds a whole new layer to it. Again, kind of like it did in the original game. So then after that, though, once we hit the Wii U era, Yoshi, okay, hey, we were wrong. We were wrong about something. He did have his own individual game on the DS.
Actually, yes, we skipped over some of the handhelds. On the Game Boy Advance as well.
It sucked, but he was like an experiment. He was an experiment game to truly test out that system. Why don't we look up some of those old games real quick?
I know on the Game Boy Advance he had Topsy Turvy, and that one was one that had like the motion sensor sort of thing in the cart itself. It was a lot like Kirby Tilt and Tumble, where
that's hilarious.
Yeah, you would turn the whole system. It would even work in a Game Boy Advance SP. You could set it to work in those, and you would basically turn the whole world. It was a really cool concept, but and even being the fan I am, I've never beat it. It just didn't work as well as it maybe should have.
Yeah.
Made jumping and things like that
you're right.
Not great.
I remember that game.
Yep.
So the game I'm referring back to is Yoshi's Touch and Go. I had it.
Me too.
And I was so let down.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
No, it was terrible. Again, it was just a tech demo. The DS brought new ways to play games, something cool, and it was just a gimmick. We were so people were so fascinated with the gimmick of the DS. Those first games, man, they were not good. Let's see the list here. Obviously, we had Yoshi's Game came out for the Game Boy. Yoshi's Cookie came out for the NES. Yoshi's Safari. What did that one come out for?
Super Nintendo, the Super Scope.
Oh, really? I never even played that. I wonder if that was any good.
I played it, but it has been many years, and I no longer have it, unfortunately.
Then obviously Mario World 2, his biggest game, which is also Super Mario Advance 3, Yoshi's Island. And then he was in his own Tetris Attack. He had his own themed Tetris Attack, which is interesting. And then, Yoshi's Topsy Turvy. Balloon Trip was a tech demo for the DS. Okay. I remember that one too, yeah. It evolved into... Okay, Balloon Trip was a tech demo shown off at 2004, but then that's what evolved into Yoshi's Touch and Go. That's why they both sucked.
Or devolved.
And then... devolved, yes. And then they did have Yoshi's Island DS, which I believe was not nearly as good as the original Yoshi's Island, correct?
I guess it depends on what you are looking for. It's more complicated for sure. It's got like Baby Mario. It's got Baby Wario, which is
yeah.
They all have
DK.
different. Yep, Baby DK, Baby Bowser was there, and Peach, I think. And they all do different things, but I remember like it was really difficult from what I remember. And like some of the extras, it was almost like Donkey Kong 64, where like you're in a level, but you need a certain Kong to reach this thing.
Oh,
You would see
jeez.
like a coin that's Baby Peach, but you have Wario with you.
Oh, that's
So
not fun.
you're gonna have to go all the way back through the thing with just with a different baby on your back, or find a bus stop or something or a stork stop rather, whatever they called it. It just
Yeah.
wasn't done very great.
Interesting. Well, oh well. I remember the music was like ranked as like one of the worst soundtracks ever.
Now Yoshi's New Island on the 3DS. You want to hear a bad main theme song? That one's,
Maybe I should play that. I'll play that as the intro song. I think
that
I
one's
will.
terrible.
Oh, it's so bad. It's like, what were they doing? But after that, I'd say Yoshi. Hey, Yoshi hit some gold here. We went to Yoshi's Woolly World.
Oh yeah.
They put the Kirby effect on Yoshi. Honestly, they got unique. They used him, and they just changed up his whole art style, and Yoshi's Woolly World came out. That's really, truly one of the biggest highlights of the Wii U system, which is such a shame that they ported it to 3DS, so that's really why they haven't reported it to the Switch, because I would have rebought it if they did that. Let's talk about this game for a little bit, Josh, because I feel like this game really kind of gave Yoshi a more, I don't know, more credit. To be honest, this was the first Yoshi game how you were just talking about Kirby, this was the first Yoshi game that truly like encaptivated me from start to finish, right? Like wanted to be everything in the game. From the music, obviously the way it looked, and the platforming itself, it was a really fun game. What did you think about this game? Tell me. I didn't know you in the Wii U era, so I want to know your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, it had a really unique identity to it, which fit Yoshi just fine. I mean, you can kind of compare it to Kirby's Epic Yarn. This was definitely a lot more difficult. One, you could die in it. You can't really do that in Kirby. But I kind of want to go back and actually play through it again one day, because I feel like when I played through it on the Wii U, it was kind of one of those times where I was really trying to play through a lot of games like that with my wife if there was co-op. And she's not as much of a gamer, so things got a little frustrating at times because of the difficulty in it. So it took us quite a while to get through it. But overall, I do think it is a really great successor to, really to go all the way back to the first Yoshi's Island. Of course, you don't have the babies, but the eggs, the collectibles, all of that sort of stuff. It feels like an evolution to that, properly this time.
I think it's what we wanted Yoshi's story to be originally,
Right. Right. It's kind of what maybe it should have been.
I would love, because Lindsay, she would eat it up. I mean, she thinks it's cute. I really want it back. I mean, I could just plug in my Wii U, like if I wanted that bad, I guess. But I still have it. But I think it would sell gangbusters on the Switch.
Yeah. It'll be next to Crafted World, but I know a lot of people that prefer Woolly World over it. So yeah, I think it would do perfectly fine.
But outside of that, Crafted World was really, that's kind of the latest he's done. I would love for them to give us another Yoshi game soon, but who knows? It's a mystery.
He's always kind of there. I always kind of hate it when he does. I feel like he gets a little overlooked in some random places, like Mario 3D World. I like that game. Even when they brought it back out for the Switch and added like Bowser's Fury mode and all this stuff, there is not a trace of Yoshi anywhere.
Yeah,
in either one of those modes.
What's weird is that like Yoshi himself, he has his own platform where like he could be running alongside Mario. Like he doesn't need to be ridden. He could actually be his own character, which is just funny to think about where we are with that.
I've thought of that too. It's just, well, why not just add him as an extra bonus character or something in the Switch version at least?
Right.
No, kind of got overlooked. There's a few instances like that I kind of feel like they almost go out of their way to just be like, this character doesn't exist. Maybe they just don't want to utilize him properly, so they're like, we're not going to deal with that this time, and they just kind of shove him aside. I don't know.
Well, like we mentioned earlier, he's in all of the Mario Kart games, but he's also in the sports games. He's a pretty good character in those games. Do you usually do you go with Yoshi when you play those games?
I have a lot. I don't know if it's just because it is Yoshi, of course, or maybe a mix of both. I feel like I've sort of went towards that weight of character depending on the game, like in tennis where he's a speed character. I feel like that's usually what I'm best with. And again, that may just be where I sort of picked him from the start, like in Mario Tennis 64 or whatever. He's usually a pretty easy character to get a hold of. He's usually a little more like in kart. He's got a little more acceleration, but not like one of the baby characters or something. He's usually a safe one to go to.
So, Josh, what I was wanting to ask you, though, this is a real serious question. So I'm going to test your mettle here. Because, I can firmly and proudly say that my favorite Nintendo character from all these games, side games, racing games, I always go with DK. I love Donkey Kong. Now, I know we claim that we're both Donkey Kong fanatics. That those are our favorite games. Do you like Yoshi more than Donkey Kong?
Okay,
you seem to pick him more than all these other games, whereas I just can't. I have to pick DK.
Games-wise, no. I will say Donkey Kong, at least of the country games, I think are a little better most of the time.
Much better, for sure.
Now, the characters, my almost eternal fight in my head. There's like 3. I'm not good at always picking favorites. Like even my favorite game of all time, there's just too many. It changes.
It's hard.
I can't do it.
I get you.
It's kind of the same with the characters. Is like there's Yoshi, Diddy, and Banjo. Like 2 rare characters, then you got Yoshi in there. So that's sort of the struggle. I guess Donkey Kong himself, maybe. Yeah, maybe I'd pick Yoshi, but it's not like miles and miles apart. It's just sort of like a comfort thing. It's this is what I've done. I'm not afraid of change. It's just I pick Yoshi, and I'm good with Yoshi and like Smash Brothers and things like that. It's just
you are good. I've never fought a harder Yoshi than you.
It's just where I've landed. I don't know.
I just wonder why Yoshi. I mean, you love everybody. You love the Kongs especially. I just did Yoshi. Was there like a specific pinpoint in your childhood that just like there's like an emotional tie to him?
I guess if to tie it the best I could somewhere is like the 90s and, of course, World and Island and all of that. Maybe the 64 era is like he was sort of, that's when he really like became like my default character in all the side stuff. In Mario Party, I would play as him against the computer. I would make sure everybody else loses. I would take control of the computer characters just so Yoshi can win. So
that's funny.
And I had all these little. It sounds so weird now. I had all these little beanbags from Nintendo Power, the catalog. All these plushies. I still got them put up somewhere. And I specifically remember getting like there was different color Yoshis around Story when it came out at Toys R Us, and I used to take those things everywhere. I don't care if I was like 9 or 10 years old.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Like we would go on a trip, and I'd have those Yoshis with me.
That's cool.
I don't know. It's maybe to take it one step deeper. Along with all of that, and come the end of the 90s into the 2000s, I went through a tough time with my family. My parents got divorced. There was a lot of issues there, and there were some things like that I clung to. So I continued to pick Yoshi. It's kind of just what I did.
With that said, though, the connection of Donkey Kong and Yoshi, you do get a little bit of both worlds, because lucky you, Yoshi did appear in probably the greatest platform of all time.
Yep.
What game was that, Josh?
It was
I'll be right back.
Donkey Kong Country 2. He was in second place on the stands, well, as long as, if Diddy's not on the stand. He defaults to second place on the stands for the DK coins, or the hero coins. In Cranky's little, I want to say Cranky's Hut, whatever, museum, I believe it is. in that game. And a little fun fact on the side of that, I'm a big Zelda fan, and the first one I really dug into was Ocarina of Time, and then some Link's Awakening around that same time. This is the first time I also saw Link, because he was in third place when my dad and I first beat Donkey Kong Country 2. And I asked him who it was. My dad had played through Zelda games, and I instantly became interested in figuring out who this guy was. So, it was cool to see the cameos from Mario and Yoshi in that, of course. And here we go. There's a lot of my favorite characters, again, like in one little spot. But it was also where I was first introduced to Link and sort of knew, I guess, of the existence of Zelda. I'm not sure how I missed A Link to the Past. I know my dad played through it, but yeah. So there was multiple layers to that little cameo for me.
Yeah, it's really, really cool that he was in it. It's so unique, and you just don't expect that. I mean, and Link was in it as well, too, But, and Mario, Link, and Yoshi. But Yoshi was in, again, Mario, he was an RPG, but he was just kind of in the background, didn't do much, which is really weird.
There was a race, and they had made Boshi. Do you remember Boshi?
No.
You might look him up. He's kind of like a purplish blue Yoshi that has like these black sunglasses and like these rough looking bracelets.
In that game?
Yeah, in Mario RPG. He's like Yoshi's rival.
Oh, yeah, I totally remember that dude, yes.
I wish he would come back. I love Boshi.
You fight him, right? You fight him a couple of times.
I think you race him or something. It's been a while since I've played it.
Yeah, I beat it back in like 2016, 2017. I do remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to bring back Boshi.
And Donkey Kong's in that game too, just so you know.
Yeah, pretty much. He looks like a chained up like prisoner, but yeah.
Yeah. But it's really kind of surprising that they didn't make Yoshi a playable character in that game. Talk about RPG.
Yeah.
Giving him a unique playset. That would have been awesome. Which, I mean, they essentially made up for that in Paper Mario, where it wasn't Yoshi himself, the one we know, but it was like a little baby Yoshi.
Yeah.
Pink Yoshi, right? He was pink, right?
Hey, it changed colors. I forget what determined that, but I think mine was like red, and then I learned later in Thousand Year Door, like different people had different color Yoshis.
Really? I did not know that. Wow. Mine was pink, my original one. That's so cool. Huh. That's wild. Well, so, Yoshi, he gets around. He's in a lot of things. I do remember him being in the Game & Watch Gallery games. I had those for Game Boy, at least the first couple of them. I do remember seeing him in that. And obviously he's in Smash Bros. I never really felt like I could be super good with him. He's kind of the middle of the pack character, in my opinion. But, he's in a little bit of everything, I guess. Outside of that, though, do I have a favorite Yoshi game? I would say certainly he is probably Woolly World. Definitely is my favorite Yoshi game. I think we can agree on that. Maybe.
I could totally see that, and I feel like I need to go back to it. Somebody had actually even gotten me the 3DS version of Woolly World, and I was like, this is my chance to just play it, just me. But I don't feel like it grabs me as well on there. I think I just need to play it back on the big TV. It deserves better, maybe. But
HD graphics, and not to mention the sound is better on the
right.
one. The soundtrack for that game is so good.
It is.
Like they went all out on that game.
It's so pretty. Wild. Like the hub world. Like
oh yeah.
It this sounds goofy. It almost makes me emotional. Like part of it. It's just so chill.
It's okay. You can let it out, Josh.
I'm gonna cry. Yeah, it makes me. Yeah, that's why I take depression medicine. No, no. I would say my favorite, like official Yoshi game, anyway. Not one he's necessarily been in, but was probably just Yoshi's Island. I feel like that's kind of an easy answer.
Yeah, I'd say that's the majority of people. Nostalgia's tied to it.
It is. It's some of that, but there's just not much wrong with it.
It's weird. We talk about Donkey Kong, and that game was made to rival Donkey Kong within Nintendo themselves, as a response to Donkey Kong Country. Miyamoto made that game. I still to this day, I can't bring myself to beat it. I've never beaten it. I just don't love it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't find it as fascinating as most other people. I just don't, and I don't understand why. I've tried to play it in my adulthood, and I've gotten further into it than I did as a kid. But in general, I just it's okay.
It has some meat to it. Like if you're really not like into it or like in the hype for it or what have you, it can take a little while to get through, especially if you're trying to collect everything. And the levels aren't real short either, so it's a little bit of a commitment. And the art style, I think, is a little hit and miss with some people. I think it's great.
I don't mind it, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like my favorite, best well done ever, but I think it stands up perfectly. Like, I don't think it's going to age
poorly.
Yeah, or almost like at all. Like, I think it still looks better than some indie games. That's not against indie developers at all. I'm just mean like it's. It
was done well, for sure.
Yeah, if they slapped widescreen on it and called it a day, I think it would look fine.
Is it on the Nintendo Switch Online yet?
It is.
Is it really? Maybe I'll have to go try it out again.
Yeah.
But Yoshi, he did get to. You know what? We did get to play with him in Mario DS. I forgot all about that. How could I forget that? So he did have a little bit more love in there maybe than I was leading on. That was really cool to run around the world of Mario 64 as Yoshi. Like again, it was probably an answer to what everyone wanted from the original Mario 64 game.
I love that. I feel like he was like the main character because you started as him, and he pretty much had to save everybody.
Yep, you're right. Mario 64 DS, it was a fun game. I loved that. To me, that was the first time I felt like I had what the Switch is. I felt like I had a portable home console.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I loved it at the time. I played it just a couple years ago at a cousin's house. He had it out. I was like, I haven't touched this in forever. And unfortunately, when I tried to play it, it felt weird to control. Like, it just... I don't know if it just hasn't aged, if it was his control pad. Something was just... I wish they would almost re-release that version. But just upgrade it a little bit, give it...
It was a D-pad, right, on the original DS?
It was.
Yeah, that's why.
So, it's still a good version, though. If you can get used to mostly how it feels to walk more than anything, I think it's a solid version.
Interesting. Well, I mean, besides all that, I don't really have much more to say about Yoshi. I mean, he's a great character, and he'll always be around. And he'll always be a thorn in your side on Mario Party, I'm sure, and other games. But any final words you'd like to say about the beloved dinosaur? Oh, I will say he did get some screen time in that first Mario Bros. Movie.
Yeah, he was a real dinosaur.
Yeah, he's kind of creepy looking.
Yeah, he's almost like a weird gremlin mix of a oh my gosh, I almost said reptar. There we go. There's another green dinosaur I'm a fan of. I have a thing for green dinosaurs. Anyhow, he's like a raptor gremlin mix. Yes.
I wonder if he'll get some better action in the next Mario movie that's coming out next April now. So about a year from now.
Well, let's hope. I don't think he has a voice actor, does he? Which may not mean anything for Yoshi, but that could be bad. He might not show up. Sometimes he gets sidelined for like Toad, which Toad's fine, but I kind of feel like Toad fills that spot sometimes.
Maybe they can save him for the sequel. Something like go to Yoshi's Island for the sequel, the Mario movie.
He's the after credits scene.
Yeah. He hatches out of an egg off an island. That's where we're going next. But, final thoughts?
That is about it. It's just been, a character that's just always been kind of near and dear to me. I guess in some ways it's nostalgia for sure. Brings me back, honestly, to a lot of things that are very special to me. It's hard to really explain that. But yeah, to this day, it's still, even with all the other games and stuff that I'll enjoy and other characters or whatever I choose, it's like Yoshi's probably always going to be like sort of my default character in a lot of these games he appears in.
There you go. You said it best. I don't have much more to say about him. I do like to collect his stuffed animals. Now it's cool to get all the colors. Well, Josh, can you do our due diligence and tell everybody where they can find us?
Sure. So we are in a handful of places now. We are, of course, on Twitter at Nintendo NOS. We are on Facebook. Again, remember to join our group on Facebook there. That's where a lot of chit chat goes on. It's a pretty fun place. We are still also on Instagram. Yeah, you can find us on pretty much any podcast platform right now. Still a couple little changes and updates being made, but yeah, we're a bit of everywhere.
Cool beans. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us again, and thank you for just listening. We love that we get to talk with you guys, and we haven't heard from you in a while, so maybe give us some voice phone calls, and we'll play them on the next episode. But
Sure.
Guys, we love you, and we will be back soon playing with some more power. Peace.
Bye.